Hello everyone, the History of Pi channel is with you. Today, thanks to the Stolen History Forum, I will tell you about the most mysterious structure in America, the Monument to George Washington. Everyone has already seen this giant stela in the city of Washington, but we will not start with her. It turns out that the first monument to George Washington was built in 1829 year, in Bundsboro, Maryland. This is an interesting structure. This tower was built by the residents of Bundsboro in one day. On the 4th of July, 1827 year, at 7:30 in the morning, 500 residents of Bundsboro gathered in the city square. After that, they went to the decision of the hill where the monument will be built. The construction of the tower took place very quickly, using stones collected on the hillside, which quickly dried on the spot without mortar. By 1600, the citizens had completed the 15-foot tower and retreated to admire their work. The Declaration of Independence was counted. After that, the residents returned to the city in a good mood. There seems to be nothing unusual in the description of the construction of this tower. 500 people in one day assembled a tower 15 feet high and 54 feet in circumference. In the future, the height of the tower was increased to 30 feet. The base of the tower is made of stones weighing more than 1 ton. But if you look at the photos, it seems that the residents of the city were completing an old abandoned tower, a tower that belonged to another civilization. Here's a look at the staircase that goes inside the tower. You look at these stones, and somehow it's hard to believe that this tower was built in one day. The next point that surprised me a lot in the description of the construction. Now I will read out the original text. The work was carried out effectively using stones collected on the slopes of the hill, which dried quickly on the spot without mortar. A very strange record. The stones collected on the slopes of the hill dry out without mortar. It's as if the stones were not hard enough, plastic, they were adjusted in place without much difficulty. You know, for the second time, the thought of soft stones of antiquities visits me. Video about the most mysterious city link in the description. I have already expressed the idea that most of the surface on Earth was initially covered with calcareous soft rocks, so all ancient structures on Earth have foundations and foundations of white stone. For example, the Kitagorodskaya Wall in Moscow, its base was built of white stone, and later it was completed with brick. In my crazy opinion, a very large area in ancient times was covered with soft calcareous rocks. This material was easily processed. Huge blocks were cut out of it for foundations and walls of houses. Since the material was soft enough, all the blocks were very easily adjusted in place with high accuracy. And this material was very widely distributed around the world. Then these chalk mountains and strata gained strength and began to be poorly processed with simple tools, and therefore they stopped building from white stone. In addition, another catastrophic event occurred, which brought a huge amount of clay to the surface of the earth. And so people from the material that was literally lying under their feet mastered the production of bricks. And now we see huge cities built on a base of white stone, and the walls of most of the cities are lined with brick. So the description of the construction of the first monument to George Washington makes you think about the time when the stones were soft and gained strength over time. Now let's move on to a more interesting object, the Washington Monument. This is an obelisk built in the city of Washington, D.C., in memory of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The monument is made of marble, granite, and blue gneiss. Its height is 169 meters. It is the tallest monumental column in the world. Only in 1889 year, it was overtaken by the height of the Eiffel Tower. The construction of the monument began in 1848 year, was stopped in 1854 due to lack of funds. The monument began to be completed in 1877 year, and finished in 1888 year, and now we will begin to study this monument. The original design was designed by Robert Mills. Let's look at these photos of the stages of construction of the monument. Here in the first photo is a part of the monument built before 1854 year. It has a darker color. Then, photo number 2. We see an almost completed obelisk, only the top is not completed. Photo 4 shows the latest work on the decoration of the upper part of the monument. It seems that there is nothing unusual in this building, but if we look at everything carefully, we will find a lot of interesting things. Look at the photo of 1850th year. It's like the beginning of the construction of the monument. Everything seems to be fine. The first part is being erected, wooden scaffolding is being built, there are carts on the right. So the width of the monument in the lower part is now 55 feet, about 17 meters. But, if we look at the cart and compare it with the base of the future monument, it can be seen that in this photo, there is a narrower structure with a width of much less than 17 meters. Let's go further. We have architect Robert Mills, and here is his initial design of the monument. Look at this engraving. According to the project, a rotunda of Caon was to be built around the base, and it is clear that the obelisk itself is much lower. The rotunda is decorated with a chariot, as on all triumphal arches. If history is to be believed, the rotunda of columns was not erected out of economy. So it seems to me that everything is not going smoothly with this project. No, Robert Mills did this project. It looks more like there was a monument in the ancient Roman style, with columns and a chariot on this place, and Robert Mills just copied it to his project. Look, this rotunda is shown in an engraving of 1849th year. And here is 1852nd year. Again we see an ancient Roman monument on the site of the monument. But on the plan of 1880th year, the rotunda has already been removed, and we see an unfinished monument of a modern type. It seems to me that this monument really existed, and this is not some fantasy of Robert Mills. This is a real monument of ancient civilization, which, under the leadership of Robert Mills, the columns were stripped and destroyed, and this photo shows the stages of dismantling the ancient monument. Here is another old photo. Here we see that the column was removed, and a wider base for the monument was erected. Pay attention to the pyramid-shaped foundation. I have already shown this photo in my video before, but now there will be an interesting continuation. Here's a look at this photo. The foundation is in the form of an ancient pyramid. Look how well the stones fit. We see that for some reason, there is a huge hole in the finished foundation, but there is a project by Robert Mills. Everything should be built according to the drawings, and here, according to historians, it breaks through the entrance in a relatively new foundation. Or maybe it's really an ancient foundation, there was something valuable in it. And so in order to extract something valuable, they break through this big move. But this photo shows that the passage has already been punched, and the corners of the pyramid have been filled with concrete. And now look at this ancient passage made of large stones, very similar to the remains of an ancient foundation. Then everything was concreted, and all the ancient artifacts were removed. Here is an interesting photo of 1880th year. This is the lifting mechanism of the elevator, which moves inside the monument. This type of mechanism was powered by steam and could lift 4 tons of cargo at a speed of 50 feet per minute. But if the mechanism works on steam, then where is the steam boiler itself? Or did this mechanism work on a different energy? Here is another interesting mystical moment. An aluminum pyramid weighing 100 functions is installed on the top of the monument. At the end of the 19th century, aluminum was a rare metal and was mainly used for jewelry. This pyramid was the largest aluminum ingot of that time. I think that the Washington Monument is not just a monument to the President of the United States. It looks more like some kind of technical structure. The true purpose of the monument is hidden from us. This monument was built on the site of an ancient monument, and it seems that something valuable was found in the basements of this monument. Here's another look at this photo, as if excavations are taking place in Egypt, looking for artifacts, a past civilization. That's it, watch my channel.